All right, so today we're going to jump into a new construction technology that's being used across the industry. It's kind of a new evolution. We've talked about this before on the show with some 3D printing of 3D printed houses. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. And today we're going to joining us is Galiano Tiramani, who is the CEO and founder of Boxabl. So great to have you on the show, Galiano.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to meet you. And I'm excited to tell you more about Boxabl.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what the process is. I mean, the videos look pretty cool. These units look like, and you know, when you think about tiny houses and kind of what's been going on, you guys have amped this up to a whole new level. Tell me about what you guys are doing from a tech standpoint.
Yeah, the big breakthrough here is all about shipping. We feel like, why aren't all buildings mass produced in the factory? And they're not, is they're too big to ship. So that was the first problem we had to solve, and then everything else became possible after that. So our houses are room modules. They fold up so that they can ship highway legal, and it can be at the lowest cost. And then once they get to site, they set up very quickly, and everything's done because it's done in our factory. So kitchen, bathroom, etc. It's all ready, installed when these units get delivered.
I want to jump to your website because it kind of shows our viewers exactly how one of these gets delivered, or it looks to be delivered, and then how it's kind of put together. Looks like there's only a couple of people here, but does it require, I'm assuming it requires, looks like a crane to be able to do this.
Yeah, we have a bunch of different options for unfolding it and setting it up. One of those is a crane. It can also be done with a forklift. And then we also have a bracket system that allows you to unfold it manually. So it's all about reducing those friction points when you get to site. So, you know, crane's expensive, so we're trying to eliminate that and other, you know, barriers as well.
So the manufacturing process in your factory, walk me through that. How big of a facility? What all are you guys doing there? How much of it is outsourced? That kind of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, we're just getting started. So we're actually right about to move into our new factory in the next few weeks, actually. We've set up a large 170,000 foot factory that we expect will produce one house every 90 minutes. It's going to be very exciting getting in there and turning on the assembly line. The way these houses are built, we've also innovated on the building materials and manufacturing methods. So, for example, in North America, most buildings are built using lumber stick framing. Our buildings are not made like that. They use all new materials that we think give us a lot of benefits on cost and ratings and across the board.
How is this going to, from a regulatory standpoint for housing, obviously you have to go through building codes, things of that nature in all these different countries and jurisdictions. How does this stack up with your product? Are you guys fully functional as being able to put people in these things, regulated and all those kind of scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole maze of regulations for building construction. They exist at, you know, every level of government, all the way down to the local guys. So it's really tough to navigate. However, our buildings will fall under the state modular programs, which actually makes things a little bit easier for our customer, who would be the builder. That is because the inspections that would usually happen on the building site actually happen in our factory. So then the person building the building, setting it up, has less interactions, less waiting around for that local government to come and inspect. So it's a pretty good situation for us.
Let's talk about use cases. What are some of the use cases that you guys have experienced in rolling these out? Anything in kind of emerging countries yet outside of the United States, or are you strictly looking at the US as your primary market for now?
Yeah, I mean, there's really endless use cases for this product. It's a system where eventually different size room modules will all stack and connect in any way someone wants them to create many different building types. Anything from this little casita that you see on our website up to a 1,000-unit multifamily building. So, you know, we have really grand aspirations here, but we're starting out with the casita model, and we're targeting that towards backyard houses in California. California has changed the laws to make it very friendly to build a little house in the backyard of the main house. So there's a rapidly growing market for that. And as we get started as a company, we thought that's a great place to start. So that's where we're kind of targeting this towards initially. But we've heard from thousands of potential customers about every use case you could ever imagine, anything from emerging markets to military, disaster relief, workforce housing, vacation rentals. These are just room modules, and it's a system. So a huge amount of potential use cases for this.
Okay, so I've seen on your Instagram a few posts I was looking at, and the one of the things that you had one drawing or rendering where we're stacking these. So this is potentially could be utilized as maybe a bigger family dwelling outside of just maybe something that is a 1 or 2 person tiny home style model. Is that something that you're seeing a lot of people look at now for potential use cases?
Yeah, exactly. We can stack and connect these room modules. So we've done that, and there's actually some live videos of us doing that on the YouTube channel. We're starting off, our initial product is the 20 by 20 room module, so it's the smaller one. So kind of less things you can do with that, but in the future, we'll roll out bigger room modules. So 20 by 30, 20 by 40, maybe 20 by 60. And at that point, you can really just get endless configurations of houses.
How is okay, so I see technology being a huge, factor here, obviously with off-grid type scenarios, when you look at potentially utilizing things like A-frames and different kind of, off-grid devices. Are you guys doing any kind of solar integration or off-grid package programs to where I could order one of these, drop it in a remote spot, and it be fully self-sufficient?
Yeah, that is really interesting to us. However, at the moment, we're planning to just provide these room modules ready to be connected to utilities. So then our customer, who would be a builder or developer, can plug them into either the site utilities or the off-grid utilities. We do plan in the future to do an off-grid model where we supply that from the factory with water tank, waste tank, solar panels, whatever else is appropriate. So that's definitely a big possibility in the future, and I think it's going to make sense more and more in a lot of use cases.
Okay, so shipping one of these, this goes on like a flatbed semi-truck, fairly easy to move across country. What's cost for one of these if I had to ship it from, say, Las Vegas to Texas?
Yeah, the shipping is incredibly important. What we've done is we've engineered the room modules so they fold up to 8.5 feet wide. 8.5 feet is the magic number. The moment you go an inch over that, you incur all kind of extra charges. So if you've ever seen a traditional factory-built house being shipped, you'll notice they have the truck with the house on it, and then they also have a follow car with flags, and sometimes 2 follow cars, sometimes police escorts. They have restricted routes in certain states, restricted travel times, a whole mess of different permits being required. So shipping our units is a fraction of the cost of shipping those traditional modulars. So it still costs money to ship them, but ours is the definitely the lowest cost out there.
Yeah. So you guys have the federal government on your customer list. What kind of scenarios would you see for this? Could this be military use, or is this mostly for temporary applications for maybe expanding facilities, a lot like schools are doing now with a lot of these kind of pop-ups? What's the government using these things for?
Yeah, so we have a couple big orders from the government to provide casitas that's featured on our website for military base housing. The pretty cool that they're interested in this at this early stage of the company, and I think it shows how good the product is. And we have also been talking to many other potential government customers in different areas of government, everything from low-income housing to disaster relief. There's just so many use cases for this, and I think the government is going to be a really big customer of ours going forward.
How many of these can you make in a facility, say over a month period?
Yeah, this first factory is projected to produce about 300 casitas per month. And we really think of this first factory more of just a proof of concept. And
Right.
once it's up and running and proven, we're going to be looking to scale that and take it to the next level. And the model we look at is automobile manufacturing. For
Right.
example, if you look on YouTube at Ford F-150 factory, they advertise that they produce one truck every 53 seconds. So we need to do that with housing. Why has no one done that yet with housing? So that's what we're going to go for. It's quite a big undertaking to get a factory of that scale, but it's needed because there's housing shortages and housing issues all around the country and all around the world.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of those scenarios. And we've looked at, some of these off-grid homes and some of the new tech that's being done in the 3D printed version of things like this, where it can really expand use cases out for sure. When you look at the future for you guys, what is the next major step that you have to overcome other than maybe the production scenario?
Well, there's definitely going to be a big leap from this first factory to a fully automated factory. This first factory has a huge amount of innovations and tech in it, and it's set up to be compatible that automobile style automation and mass production. But the scale we're at now, we do not have that full custom automation, so that's going to be a really big leap.
Yeah. In communities, and we've seen some of, I got a chance to see one of the communities, a video done on one in Austin, that they were using tiny homes, and it was basically in the the unhoused scenario for Austin, because they have a big homeless community there, and they've gone to this potential model. Do you see this potentially being used in those kind of applications for doing kind of these pseudo community pop-ups, where this potentially could attach to a grid and create, a whole new small community of people that might want to just live in these things?
Yeah, it would be amazing. There's certainly way different than a traditional build. With our
Yeah.
units, they're going to be able to have a community up, maybe in a few weeks versus months and months or years. Our units just
Hmm.
take a couple hours on site to, unfold and set up, and they're ready to go. So that's way different than what's being done currently in building construction.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I got to ask you the question. Elon Musk has been on, assuming that he has put one of these to work down near Boca Chica, and there's been some reports, some drone flyovers, things of that nature, of people out there. How do you see that? Because that's a perfect spot for building a small community, especially around a star base there in Texas, because you've got such a remote location. I think that use case is perfect for you guys. Is that the scenario?
Yeah, we would love to be involved in something like that. Unfortunately, I can't really comment on any of the details, but I think there's some, publicly available information kind of out there now. As you mentioned,
Sure.
there's some footage, but it's all kind of something that we can't really talk about at the moment. So sorry about that.
I can't wait to see this community down there, Boxables in Boca Chica. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to check it all out. One day we're going to take a visit down to check out one of the starships, and I'm going to be there. Can I call you and get a reservation or an Airbnb with one of these?
Yeah, hopefully we'll be once we're up and running and selling these things. We'll have people doing Airbnbs.
That'll be fun to see if this becomes an Airbnb. There's been some interesting Airbnbs, and I think this would be one of those for sure. All right, so scale-wise, what's your trajectory as a company? How big do you guys think you need to get to before are you going to raise some additional capital, or maybe you're looking at maybe an IPO, early startup? Where are you guys in your funding plans?
Yeah, so this first factory should produce 3,000, 3,600 or so houses per year. It's a lot of houses. It's a big undertaking. It's a big factory, but in the grand scheme of housing demand, this is nothing. There's millions of housing unit shortages here in the U.S. and all over the place. So we really need to scale to make a big difference here. We certainly do intend on doing some type of public offering or public listing at some point once it makes sense. And
Yeah.
we'll be looking to scale as soon as possible. We've raised some money now to get us up and running and going, and we're definitely going to need more as things progress. And I will be pushing as fast as I can, as hard as I can to scale this to massive proportions. Hopefully, we go from this first factory that's 170,000 feet to something 10 times bigger in the next few years. And additionally, we do have a plan to bring on partners around the world to use our system to turn on Boxabl factories around the world. And hopefully we can have a really big impact on housing affordability and really change quality of life for people by reducing their housing costs. Because right now, most people spend a large percentage of their income on housing. So it's not a great situation.
Yeah, so capacity-wise, I think you guys would be a perfect target for a SPAC rolling up into this, especially as you really need capital. When you look at where you are now and where you are going in the future, what do you think the capacity is for one of your plants, one of your facilities, much like the one you have right now, in terms of annual capacity? Once you're ramped up, things are going great, you've got the capital, where do you think this could be per factory in terms of
Well,
production?
I would like to go from this factory once it's proven successful onto something that's 10 times bigger, and I think that's totally possible and doable. And once we get that automation dialed in, things are going to get a lot faster. But what we're trying to do here is mass produce housing on a scale that's never been done before at a cost
Yep.
that's below market rate for construction costs. So if we can in fact produce that, uh, everyone's going to want this. No one's going to want to build the traditional way. No one's going to want to wait 7 months average to build a residential home and pay the money they're paying. So I believe that our principles put us ahead of all the competition. So
Yeah.
the competition is a guy out in the sun or the rain with a nail gun, nailing together pieces of wood. And I don't think that can ever compete with an efficient assembly line where we have we have the best shipping solution out there. We're going to have standardization, repeatability, automation, bulk
Yep.
purchasing. We've dramatically simplified the building and the components within the building and reduced them. So I believe that we're going to end up way ahead. And no one's close right now. If you look at all the other factory built housing, they are in there with hand tools. They're shipping extremely expensive wide loads. There's a
Yep.
reason that factory built housing is only about 10% of buildings out there. They've kind of failed to gain market share. Everything else is built in the factory. Every other modern product is built in the factory. It's about time that housing is too.
Yeah, for sure. What's your background? Did you come from the building industry? Was this something that you kind of worked with some other people in your startup? How did this come about?
Yeah, I have no experience prior to this in building construction at all, really. I've done a bunch of different kind of business startups that have been pretty successful. One of the better ones was related to Bitcoin years ago. But back in 2017, myself, my father, Paolo, and another guy, Kyle, started working on Boxabl. Back then, it was just an idea to fold the house up to fix shipping. And we jumped in and we started doing research and testing and engineering. And the product just got better and better and better. And we devoted more and more resources to it. And then we all, came together in Vegas to chase it down full time. And now we're here and, just receiving an extraordinary amount of traction and interest and inquiries. It's really been amazing. Those other two guys on the team, Paolo is a engineer with a background in intellectual property licensing, where he had a business essentially inventing things and licensing and licensing or selling those patents to other companies. And the other guy, Kyle, is also an engineer, expert on 3D solid modeling on the computer, and he does have a background in residential building construction. And right now, we're rapidly building the team. We've been hiring people every week, we're going to be scaling really quickly once we get the keys to this new factory, which should be hopefully any day now.
I like it. I like it a lot. Last question. When you guys went out to the capital markets, were you looking at crowdfunding operations or are you looking at angel and seed? What was kind of because we have a lot of entrepreneurs here that are either looking at startups, they're trying to get, kind of get an insight from founders like you. How did you guys go about
You
raising
know,
capital?
We've raised all of the money directly through individual investors through our website. It's been extremely powerful and valuable for us to use this strategy. We've drummed up interest through social media, driven traffic to our website, and that's converted into investors. And we really love that versus going straight to institutional capital, because we remain in full control. We're calling all the shots. We now have an army of supporters behind us, so it's really a great way to do it.
I like it. Galiano, it's great having you on the show today. Good luck to you and the Boxabl team there. I can't wait to see one of these things in person. Anytime soon you're going to have one of these in Florida.
Thank you. I will work on sending you one ASAP.
Let's get it here. We could use one of these for a sound room here in our studio. It'd be perfect. Right outside our studio. We could soundproof it. It'd be perfect sound room for all of you guys trying to build a studio.
Yeah, it's very well insulated for sound, so it would do great.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Galiano. We appreciate you stopping in today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you guys listening over on the podcast right now, make sure and give us some stars. We love those feedback from you. And of course, if you have an idea for a show, you can shoot that to us, which is just producer@reverendnetworks.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. That's easy. If you're here on YouTube, you got to subscribe. This is the #1 channel out there when it comes to tech, and we are moving across all things, everything from cryptocurrency. Obviously, if you've been catching a lot of our EV, AI, autonomy, and robotic videos, you understand kind of this innovation that is happening in the technology space. So make sure and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because that's going to give you notifications. I'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.